I want to show you the systems that I use on a daily basis to be able to achieve any goal you want in life. Because we all have goals that we want to achieve, right? I mean, you might want to go to university, buy a house, have kids, get married, but many of us don't have a system or a process to be able to achieve those goals. Today though, that is going to change. I want to show you what I do and the systems I use to achieve any goal that I set for myself. So you can use them too. Let's jump in. Step 1, know where you're headed. So the first step is to know where you're heading and what goals you want to achieve. Oftentimes our mindset restricts us from goals that we could easily achieve, but we tell ourselves that they are unattainable for whatever reason. And we then go after goals that we know that we can succeed at. Everyone does this. I know I do. For example, you might delay going after a goal because you're not confident that you could achieve it. So in your head, you tell yourself, you'll get started later or tomorrow, or when this or that happens, then you'll be ready and get started. A classic example is when someone wants to create videos on YouTube, but they keep delaying things by telling themselves over and over, I'll get started when I have a professional camera. But usually that never happens, and even when they do have a professional camera, they still don't get started and they make up other reasons to delay things. Why? Because their mindset is limiting them. Let me explain. So when you're thinking about the goals, don't ever let yourself think, is this realistic? Or I couldn't do this. Only certain people with loads of money can start a business. You want to separate yourself from the I couldn't do this to setting goals in the first place. Just completely separate those two things. Write down your goals, however big they are, just get them down on paper. In his book, Awaken, the Giant Within, Tony Robbins writes about his early career, saying that he set aside all his limiting beliefs and sat on a beach with a journal. He wrote continuously for 3 hours, brainstorming every possibility of what he could ever imagine doing, being, having, creating, experiencing, or contributing. And the timeline he gave himself to achieve his goals was any time from tomorrow to the next 20 years. He said he never stopped to actually think about whether he could achieve these goals or not. Now, I'm not saying you have to go and sit on a beach for 3 hours with a journal, but you should adopt the same strategy of not letting yourself have doubt. Do not let your inner monologue say that you're not capable. It's just not true. Step 2, work out what problems you may face. Most of us are too afraid to look at our weaknesses, which is a shame because you're stopping yourself improving in those areas. We do this because of ego. Society has taught us that having weaknesses is bad, which is absolute rubbish because everyone has their own weaknesses in some way. So what you want to do is be completely transparent when setting your goals and highlighting any weaknesses that you have. So if you've never spoken on camera before, or if you've never edited a video before, that's absolutely fine, but you need to own up to that. You can actively work on improving and there'll no longer be weaknesses. This brings us nicely to step 3, which is looking at potential problems in more detail. Because our problems may not be obvious at first, we need to dig deeper to find their root causes, so we can then work to solve them. One of the best ways of doing this is by using the 5 whys technique. The idea with this is simply you need to ask yourself why at least 5 times. So for example, if hypothetically our goal was to become the next world champion air guitarist, that is actually a thing, we could use the 5 whys technique. This way we could figure out why we're not yet a world champion air guitarist. So firstly, I could ask myself, why am I not a world champion air guitarist? And the answer would be, I'm an air guitar master, but I only perform in private. So why do I only perform in private? Because I'm not confident enough to show my air guitar skills to anyone else yet? Why aren't I confident enough? Because I've never thought of showing anyone else yet. I just do it in my spare time. Why not show other people and grow in confidence? Yeah, I suppose I could. Maybe when I've learned that song or bought that shirt. Why not now? Because I'm making excuses and I'm making it optional for myself. I'll tell myself there's always something more urgent to do and I'll just put it off. So clearly I don't value the goal of becoming a world champion air guitarist enough, and my motivation isn't in the right place. It's more of an extrinsic motivation rather than an intrinsic motivation, which is when we have an internal drive to do something, a real passion to do it. So using the 5 whys technique, I figured out the problem. For me, not being a world champion air guitarist yet is because I don't feel confident enough yet, but I'm also using excuses such as wanting to buy a new shirt or learning different songs. Ultimately, I'm not being consistent enough to grow in confidence and get better. And that's because I don't have the intrinsic motivation to practice regularly and improve. Now, of course, you can use the 5 whys technique with anything in life, which takes us to step 4, creating solutions for the problems. A really great way of doing this is to look at where you've come from and where you are now, and then look to the future of where you want to be. So essentially, you're looking at the systems and methods that you've used to get to where you are today, where you haven't achieved that goal yet or done the thing that you want to do. And then going forward, you can visualize yourself having achieved that goal, changing those systems and methods that you need to use to accomplish that goal. So if my goal was to stand on stage and perform the hell out of an invisible guitar, I would look at the past and figure out why I've struggled with being consistent. And I'll know it's because I haven't been practicing enough. And instead I've been watching The Big Bang Theory for the 18th time. But now I know this, I can look at designing a new timetable that makes achieving that goal almost inevitable. So I can schedule in 3 or 4 jamming sessions on my air guitar every week. I can let my friends and family know my goal of becoming a world champion air guitarist, so I've also got some accountability. And I could even record myself and put it on YouTube. All these things would give me more confidence and get me nearer to my goal of becoming a world champion air guitarist. And finally, step 5. Once we've figured out what we need to do, we just need to do it. We need to execute everything we've learned to be able to achieve the thing that we want to do. So I usually come up with something to make it more manageable and more fun. And a great way of doing this is to do everything in smaller chunks. So rather than working on something for hours and hours, just spend 30 minutes to an hour doing focused work, and then take 10 to 15 minutes break. Phone a friend or just go for a walk. Do something that you want to do. You'll end up noticing that the time will fly past. You know, it's often that first step that's the hardest. It's really true, but it's a complete myth that you need inspiration to get started. Inspiration follows as soon as you get started. Sometimes I don't feel like going for a run, but when I put my trainers on and I get out there and I'm in the fresh air, it feels amazing and I'm loving what I'm doing. Or I might not feel like writing a blog post, but when I actually sit down and start writing, inspiration hits and I really enjoy it. And while you're here, this video right here is my video of how to start an online business completely from scratch with nothing and no money. It's actually my ultimate step-by-step how-to guide to growing your own business and making money online. So if starting an online business or turning your hobby into a business and making money from it sounds good to you, you're going to find that really, really useful. If you like this video and you want to learn more ways to be healthier, happier, and more productive, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if this video helped you out in any way, please give it a quick like. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.